Waitress the Musical, but make it a cappella. Hey friends, today we're going to do something very fun. I'm going to take you through the arrangement I recently did for the upcoming Broadway Goes A Cappella show, opening up from Waitress the Musical. I love a cappella arranging. It's my roots, it's my first love, and in the last few years I've predominantly been working in arranging music for theatrical shows, so this is the perfect crossover for me. So let me take you through my process of taking this beloved tune and making it work for only voices. So first things first, let's talk about the breakdown of parts. So for this show, we have an ensemble of about 40 to 50 singers, which is amazing. So this time around, I've gone for soprano, mezzo-soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, bass, and vocal percussion. And then we have all of our incredible Broadway soloists as well. I think for me, when I work on Broadway Goes A Cappella, it's always about finding that right balance between rewriting the instrumentation and the orchestration into parts that sit nicely in the voice and are interesting to sing, but also we can still return back to those beautiful ensemble vocals that we're used to hearing in the Broadway versions. When I first knew that I was working on opening up, I knew instantly how I wanted to mimic those piano hits, but vocally. There's that contrast in the verses and choruses where the verses are quite punchy and staccato, and then when we get to the choruses, they're these big, beautiful, open, held chords that just give you the warm and fuzzies. And I knew each time we had that verse progression, I wanted it to be a slightly different texture each time, which you can hear here. So if we look at the first verse, it's very punchy, staccato. And then eventually we open up into a little bit more slightly held. Having said that, when we hear the first few bars of opening up, we just hear the piano, the drums, and then the soloist comes straight in, and there's no ensemble vocals. And this is the opening number of our show. So enter my campaign for having the tiniest little bit of what's inside the most beautiful, magical way to open a show right at the beginning of this arrangement, which was not in the brief. I just added it in, hoping that the team would say yes, and they did, so yay. Just so we can create a little drama, you know? Perhaps it's my love of collegiate a cappella coming through, and I never got to live out that dream myself, so you know, we just have to add a little bit of sparkle at the start. It's the opening number. And because the ensemble is so big for this show, I knew we could create some really beautiful textures, having these big open drone tone kind of sounds, and then having the sugar butter flower motif ring out throughout that.
Sugar butter, sugar butter, sugar butter, flower, sugar butter, flower.
Which opens up into these beautiful harmonies in What's Inside. I'm obsessed.
What's inside? What's inside? What's inside? What's inside?
And it actually takes us through to opening up pretty perfectly, just like it does in the show. Not that I have seen it, because we're only getting Waitress for the first time in Australia next year. Can you believe? As I mentioned earlier, we have these lovely piano chords put on a do sound. And right at the top, I wanted it to feel like it's a little bit more flowy, just to set up the song. And then when Jenna comes in with her melody, we switch to a super staccato sound to turn our attention to the lead line.
The day starts like the rest we've seen, another carbon copy of an old routine. I don't know what I wish I had, but there's no time now for thinking things.
Which then gives us this really cool switch where it opens up in the chorus to these big, beautiful open chords. Very importantly, no major third just yet.
Opening up, letting the day.
And then when we get our trio harmony moment with Jenna, Dawn, and Becky, our leads, then we add in the major third to give it that release.
Around, seeing the same things every day.
It's like the long inhale and then the long exhale, right? Now you might be thinking that's a lot of do and not a lot of lyrics going on. My thoughts on this are that we have these big, beautiful ensemble vocals in the bridge that has a very choral feel to it. So I kind of minimized incorporating the lyrics in the first half of the arrangement, just so when we get to that bit later, it's a lot more satisfying or a better payoff when we get to that moment. There's also so much lyrical content in the song already, so I don't want to pull focus from that, you know? One of my favorite things when we get to this second verse, we keep the same chords as before, but change the backing pads to a sort of sound. It gives it like this, I like to think of it as like ocean waves sort of effect in my head. Almost like a rotary speaker, I guess, with like the swirling, just for a different texture. All right, now we're coming up to the middle section. This is where we get to layer up some of these beautiful ensemble parts that I was talking about from the original. And we've got to have that balance of making sure sonically we're not spread too thin or doubling up too much on notes through here. It's like the tension is building all through here. We're going through setting up textures and having the vocals, and then we get to the release at the bridge.
With days like these, we can only do the best we can.
And then it's just a matter of keeping the vibes up from here to the end. There's a lot of call and response going on between the ensemble sections. Actually, this was a bit of a brain-breaking moment, trying to make sure that we were covering all of the bases here. I think it's also, when I demo it, it sounds thinner because it's all just my voice, but when it's sung by 40 or 50 odd people, it'll be a totally different sound. So, and got to take it into a bigger chord at the end, of course, give it that drama. And then whoever our vocal percussionist is can do some sick fills right at the end. I cannot beatbox, so no, I did not record that in. And that is how you make a song from Waitress a cappella. This arrangement was so much fun to work on, and I cannot wait to hear how it sounds at Broadway Goes A Cappella Homecoming Edition. And it's times like these that I wish I wasn't on the other side of the world to where the show was happening on the real Broadway. However, if you're like me and you're stuck on the other side of the world, the team very amazingly have a live stream ticket to the show that you can purchase and watch from the comfort of your own home, which I will be doing. The show takes place on Monday, the 17th of November at City Winery. If you're in New York, grab a ticket because it's going to be spectacular as always. Thanks so much to the Broadway Goes A Cappella team. I had so much fun. And if you enjoyed seeing a little bit of a sneaky peek into the inside of my brain and how I arrange music, please let me know. I'm always so down to nerd out over arrangements. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in whatever the next video is.